Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Martial Universe Season 5 based on novel. So let's start. The bright gaze under Lin Dong's bamboo hat gradually withdrew as he let out a soft laughter. His tone did not contain any hint of eagerness. He had dealt with these kinds of shrewd people before and knew that these fellows loved to ask for sky-high prices. Hee, the lean guy chuckled before continuing, I shall not beat around the bush, and I don't want to lie to you. I do know a thing or two about this issue. However, this information can't be divulged at will, otherwise, I will be in deep trouble. Say your price, Lin Dong said in an indifferent manner. 20,000 Nirvana pills. Don't complain about the high price, as there are extra implications involved with this matter. I'm afraid my life will be in danger if they knew that I divulged this information, the lean man licked his lips and said. Under his bamboo hat, Lin Dong's eyes narrowed. After a moment of silence, he threw out a Chenkuan bag and said, there are 10,000 Nirvana pills here. As for the rest, I will decide after you have told me what you know. The lean man hastily received the bag. After hesitating for a moment, he spoke in a low voice, 1,000 miles north from here lies a beast valley. Inside the Beast Valley are numerous demonic beasts, and most of them are comparable to Nirvana stage practitioners. Reportedly, the overlord of this Beast Valley is as powerful as a 1 Yuan Nirvana stage practitioner, the mighty earth-splitting tiger. A 1 Yuan Nirvana stage demonic beast. Lin Dong's pupils enlarged a little. Soon after, he furrowed his brows and said, I'm not looking for the mighty earth-splitting tiger. Are trying to scam me? Hey, don't be anxious and let me finish. The lean man laughed oddly before continuing, according to our intelligence, there's a heavenly devil tiger bone in the mighty earth-splitting tiger's nest. The mighty earth-splitting tiger obtained the bone by luck and is preparing to use it to pass the second Nirvana tribulation. Heavenly devil tiger bone. Lin Dong's eyes suddenly lit up. However, his voice still remained composed, a dead one. Brother, if you want to find a live heavenly devil tiger, I'm afraid you will have to go to the legendary demon city. I can swear that there are none in the ancient battlefield, the lean man replied. Lin Dong, the tiger bone will work too, as the power of the bloodline is definitely within it. The heavenly devil tiger clan concentrate their power in the bones, hence their bones are the most powerful part of their bodies and where their essence is contained. Little Martin's voice rang out in Lin Dong's mind. Its voice seemed to contain a trace of happiness, as it did not expect to actually obtain the news of the 3 tiger species in the ancient battlefield. Upon hearing Little Martin's words, Lin Dong softly heaved a sigh of relief, feeling somewhat pleased. If Little Flame could make use of this chance and advance to the Nirvana stage, it would inevitably be a formidable aid to Lin Dong. If you really desire the heavenly devil tiger bone, perhaps you should set out as soon as possible, because there are already 2 high-rank empires preparing to act on this information. I took the risk of obtaining the information from them, therefore, the price of 20,000 Nirvana pills is not expensive, the lean man grinned as he reminded Lin Dong. Oh? Lin Dong furrowed his eyebrows. He took out another 11,000 Nirvana pills and said, this is payment for the information. As for the surplus, tell me all you know about these 2 high-rank empires. The lean man accepted the Nirvana pills quickly while the smile on his face grew increasingly wider. He then said, the ones who are after the heavenly devil tiger bone are the Devil Tiger Empire and the Bestial Empire. The martial arts that the former practices are largely associated with tigers. The reason why they are after the heavenly devil tiger's bone this time should be to master a powerful martial art. As for the Bestial Empire, it is a unique empire that uses demonic beasts to battle and are rather troublesome. Furthermore, these 2 high-rank empires each have a 1 Yuan Nirvana stage practitioner and a Nirvana stage practitioner subordinate. As the half-step to Nirvana stage, there are also quite a few. I'm afraid it will not be an easy task to seize the heavenly devil tiger bone from their hands. Clearly, the lean man's last sentence contained hints of a warning. From his perspective, the person standing in front of him might be mysterious, but he would have to be crazy to do something stupid like single-handedly challenging 2 high-rank empires. 2 1 Yuan Nirvana stage practitioners, 2 Nirvana stage practitioners. Under the bamboo hat, astonishment swept across Lin Dong's face. The might of these 2 high-rank empires were far greater than the Great Crow Empire he had encountered at Thunder Granite Valley previously. Looks like the strength disparity amongst high-rank empires was rather wide. Many thanks. As soon as Lin Dong got the information he needed, he did not plan to stay any longer and bidded the lean man farewell before turning around, leaving the latter behind. The lean man looked at Lin Dong's back and shook his head helplessly. In his opinion, Lin Dong was just an impulsive fellow who had gone crazy over an artifact. After leaving the Central Information Exchange Bazaar, Lin Dong immediately left the city. He summoned Little Flame and flew towards the Beast Valley without delay. Lin Dong, this trip will be much more dangerous than Devil Cliff City. These two high-rank empires each have a 1 yuan Nirvana stage practitioner. Furthermore, the mighty earth-splitting tiger isn't some easy target. If it can pass the Nirvana tribulation, its intelligence will not be low at all. It will not be easy to seize the heavenly devil tiger bone from them. At this moment, Little Martin appeared and said, "The information on the heavenly devil tiger is hard to come by. If we miss it, we won't know when our next chance will come. Those two empires might be troublesome to deal with, however, they do not know about us after all and still need to fight it out with the mighty earth-splitting tiger. If we can grasp this chance, it might not be impossible for us to succeed." Lin Dong chuckled. Naturally, he knew about the difficulty of this mission. However, he had put in a lot of effort to obtain the information on the heavenly devil tiger, and he could not give up like this. Upon seeing Lin Dong insist, Little Martin could only nod its head. I patted Little Flame, which was flapping its wing and flying through the air, and said, "This stupid tiger should have no complaints while following you. However, I believe that you will find it extremely worthwhile for what you have done for it in the future." Demonic beasts, which possessed transforming physiques, were considered an extremely rare breed in the world of demonic beasts. No one could determine whether this foolish-looking tiger would become a world-shaking entity in the world of demonic beasts. "I already feel that it's worth it." Lin Dong grinned as he softly declared before slowly closing his eyes to take a rest. When Lin Dong closed his eyes, he did not see what unfolded next. While Little Flame was diligently flapping its huge wings, a dignified look flickered in its eyes. Its eyes seemed to turn scarlet as its huge wings flapped increasingly fiercer. Little Martin glanced at Little Flame. A sensitive being like him could naturally sense the subtle energy in the air. Immediately, it spread out its claw and vanished with a jerk of its body. There was some distance between the Beast Valley and Lin Dong's current location. However, with Little Flame's high-speed flying, Lin Dong could feel the sound of the wind growing weaker after 2 hours. He slowly opened his eyes and immediately, an extremely vast prehistoric forest suddenly filled his eyes. This forest towered on a vast piece of land and exuded a heavy, rustic and ancient scent. It must have existed for quite a long time. Is this the mountain range where the Beast Valley is located? Lin Dong's eyes flashed. Just as he was about to allow Little Flame to descend, several red streaks suddenly flashed across the sky. These red streaks materialized into a few figures that appeared before him. "My friend, the Devil Tiger Empire and Bestial Empire have blocked off this place, please make a detour." The 4 people who had appeared stared at Lin Dong vigilantly while greeting the latter. Their auras were extremely powerful and showed that they had reached the half-step to Nirvana stage. "Oh, sorry for the trouble." Lin Dong faintly smiled and did not make any unnecessary actions. Patting Little Flame, they turned around and left. When that 4 people saw how direct Lin Dong was, they were stunned for a moment before letting out a laugh. Most likely, they believed that Lin Dong was afraid of their 2 high-rank empires. They turned around at once and flew towards the deeper areas of the mountain range. As they turned and departed, they did not discover the ghost-like figure that was slowly and patiently tailing them. Lin Dong's figure swiftly moved through the prehistoric forest. In this forest, numerous huge trees reached high up into the sky. The canopy enshrouded the area and blocked even sunlight, causing the forest to be dim and gloomy. The 4 figures continued flying forward while sprinkling some sort of powder along the way. Are they chasing away demonic beasts? Lin Dong sniffed the powder. A hot and spicy smell began to overwhelm his nose as his eyebrows lifted themselves. No wonder these people could travel in and out so smoothly. It appeared that they had employed a unique method. Along the way, Lin Dong quietly tailed the 4 people. After 10 minutes, the gloomy forest finally came to an end as a gigantic valley appeared before Lin Dong's eyes. On the cliff of the valley, one could vaguely see some figures. Looks like the 2 high-rank empires had already started dealing with the mighty earth-splitting tiger. Lin Dong moved his body and bizarrely appeared in a hidden spot on the cliff after quite some time. He shifted his gaze toward the inner sanctum of the valley. The valley was extremely vast, and there were numerous demonic beasts within. However, most of the demonic beasts were now lying on the ground. It appeared that they were not killed, but rather being put to coma by some kind of medicine. At this moment, two figures floated down from the cliff. When Lin Dong saw these two figures, his eye pupils immediately shrunk a little. From the auras that were surging through the two figures' bodies, they must be the One Yuan Nirvana stage practitioners from the two high-rank empires. Come out, mighty earth-splitting tiger. We have been preparing for a very long time just for you. The two people coldly laughed as they appeared. Lin Dong's gaze followed the duos, only to find a huge cave in the depths of the valley. Faintly, the earth seemed to tremble as a several hundred meters tall figure, which was accompanied with an astonishing pressure, slowly walked out from the shadow of the cave with a booming footsteps. Mighty earth-splitting tiger. As Lin Dong observed the enormous figure that had walked out of the cave, he gently exhaled and muttered to himself. A muscular figure slowly walked out from the dark mountain cave, before it finally appeared under the sunlight. As the figure revealed itself, the air in the valley seemed to stealthily freeze, while a faint savage aura spread out in the air. Lin Dong's pupils shrunk a little as he stared at the massive figure. It was several meters tall and looked just like a small-sized giant, while its body was covered in black steel-like fur. The most shocking thing about it was its head. Instead of a human head, there was a large tiger head. Its sinister fangs had traces of blood on them and gave off a chilling sensation. Meanwhile, its slightly blood-red tiger eyes were filled with a savage bloodlust. This was no ordinary demonic beast. This mighty earth-shaking tiger had obviously shed most of its beast form. If it was to pass through another one or two nirvana tribulations, it could completely leave behind its beast form. The mighty earth-shaking tiger stood upright outside of the mountain cave. Its savage killing aura, which enveloped its body, looked as if it was lifelike and it felt sharp like knives. When the mighty earth-shaking tiger appeared, all the troops from the two high-rank empires' faces changed and there was immediately a tinge of fear in their eyes. It seems like that savage pressurizing aura emerging from the former's body caused their breathing to turn ragged. Regardless of your motive, get out of this beast valley immediately. That majestic earth-shaking tiger's eyes were filled with viciousness, as it stared at the men from the two high-grade empire. Following which, its deep growl ricocheted across the entire valley just like thunder. That piercing noise caused some weaker practitioners' eardrums to ache. You can actually speak human language. Truly a demonic beast that has passed through a nirvana tribulation. When Lin Dong saw this situation, he secretly praised it inside his heart. Other than Little Martin, this was the second time he saw a demonic beast that could speak. Ha ha, you are but a mere beast. How dare you be so arrogant? Do you really believe that you are invincible, after passing through a nirvana tribulation? I know that you possess the corpse of a heavenly demonic tiger. If you willingly surrender it, perhaps you can still remain as the king of this place. The one speaking was a man dressed in grey clothes, and there were a few peculiar tiger tattoos on his face. Both of his hands were behind his back, and it seemed like he was not the slightest bit affected by the aura of that mighty earth-shaking tiger. That man should be the head of Devil Tiger Empire, Ting Hu. Lin Dong's eyes glimmered. Do you want this king's heavenly demonic tiger bones? That mighty earth-shaking tiger's pupils suddenly turned cold, before its large and solid palm gripped onto a large rock. Then, it viciously flung it toward Ting Hu. That splitting wind sound was extremely formidable. Snort. When he saw the mighty earth-shaking tiger immediately attacking him, Ting Hu coldly snorted. With a wave of his palm, formidable Yuan power force wind gushed out and blasted that large rock into dust. A beast is still a beast and it won't listen to reason. In that case, I shall take care of you as well. It just so happens that my friend here is quite interested in you. If he can successfully tame you, it would bring him much glory. A cold glow flowed in Ting Hu's eyes. Promptly, he titled his head and turned to look at a man dressed in beast-like clothes, before he smiled and said, Brother Chen Mo, how about we combine forces and take care of this beast? He, I have never fought such a powerful demonic beast. However, we have a deal. You shall get the heavenly demonic tiger's bones, and I shall get this mighty earth-shaking tiger. That man dressed in beast-like clothes had a burning glow in his eyes, as he stared at that mighty earth-shaking tiger. This man's aura was quite powerful as well, and it could rival Ting Hu. Evidently, he was the leader of Bestial Empire, and he was also a One Yuan Nirvana stage practitioner. As you wish. Ting Hu laughed heartily. Promptly, his figure suddenly dashed out. At the same time, waves of formidable yuan power instantly swept forth. Following which, his formidable yuan power aura surrounding the entire valley, before it clashed against that mighty earth-shaking tiger. Boom. At the same time, a formidable yuan power that would not lose out to Ting Hu also erupted from within Chen Mo's body. Instantly, the entire aura was surrounded by two men and one beast's powerful auras. Due to their powerful auras, all the men from the two high-rank empires, with the exception of the two Nirvana stage practitioners, found it difficult to breathe. Bang! Savage yuan power swiveled amidst the valley. In the next instance, Ting Hu and Chen Mo's expressions suddenly turned cold, before both of their figures suddenly dashed forth. Heavenly Tiger devour space. Ting Hu hovered in mid-air, before the majestic yuan power gathered around his body, actually transformed into a giant yuan power tiger. As it roared at the heavens, a genuine tiger aura faintly emerged from it. Beast trapping seal. Chen Mo's hand seals changed, before a large glowing seal promptly flew out. In a blink of an eye, it had appeared above that majestic earth-shaking tiger. Following which, countless light beams rained down from every direction, before it completely trapped the latter, just like a glowing screen. When the two of them attacked, they showed some chemistry. One man was in charge of attack, while the other took charge of defense. Furthermore, they had pretty good coordination. That large yuan power tiger carried a menacing and formidable aura as it flashed across the sky, before it lightning quick slammed against that majestic earth-shaking tiger's body. Bang! A deep explosive noise sounded out in the valley, while that majestic earth-shaking tiger's muscular body was blown back a dozen oversteps. Furthermore, each time it took a step back, the entire valley would tremble. Growl. As it faced Ting Hu duo's combined attack, that majestic earth-shaking tiger was evidently outraged. The bloodlust in its tiger's eyes grew increasingly rich. As it roared at the heavens, a bloody energy immediately spurted out from within its body. The majestic earth-shaking tiger viciously stomped its foot against the ground. Promptly, its figure transformed into a bolt of lightning as it tore through the sky. In a flash, it had appeared in front of Ting Hu before it delivered a tiger punch. Faintly, one could see that there was a hint of martial arts background in the way it moved, and its aura was extremely formidable. Devil Tiger Fist. A cold glint also flashed across Ting Hu's eyes. As his fists danced, they seemed to resemble that of a sinister and vicious tiger. Meanwhile, his fist also took the shape of a vicious and sinister tiger, before it solidly clashed against that majestic earth-shaking tiger. A deep echo swept across the mountain valley, before Ting Hu's body was forcefully blown away. Even though they were both at one yuan nirvana stage, in a real fight, he was evidently outclassed by the majestic earth-shaking tiger. For these types of demonic beast, once they develop intelligence, based on their naturally powerful physical bodies, humans at the same cultivation level would usually lose out to them. Even though he was blown away, Ting Hu was fairly vicious, as he immediately leapt back and fought with the majestic earth-shaking tiger. Instantly, large granites exploded in the mountain valley, while savage shockwinds swept forth, a pretty alarming sight. While Ting Hu was fighting with the majestic earth-shaking tiger, Chen Mo leapt into mid-air. After he whistled, every elite bestial empire practitioner in the surrounding valleys immediately made a move. Instantly, several yuan power light columns shot out, before they all gathered on Chen Mo's body. Based on his expression, it seems like he was preparing for something. Lin Dong's eyes narrowed as he stared at that fearsome battle within the valley. As his eyes swept across the mountain cave, he was silent for a moment. However, he did not make a move. The two men and beast in the valley were no simple individuals. Even while they were fighting, their minds were locked on the mountain cave. Therefore, if Lin Dong showed up, he would definitely be discovered by them. At that time, those fellow may all charge towards him. Even though his blood soul puppet has been upgraded to a grade 1 soul puppet, it was evidently not powerful enough to battle against 3 1 yuan nirvana stage practitioners. Therefore, right now, he could only wait and see. Bang. 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 As this thought flashed across Lin Dong's mind, the battle in the valley got increasingly intense. However, for this fight, the mighty earth-shattering tiger evidently had the upper hand. In a 1-to-1 fight, it had no need to fear a 1 yuan nirvana stage practitioner. Nonetheless, it was also obvious that Ting Hu had no intention of fighting seriously against it. Meanwhile, Ting Hu's body was once again viciously blown away. As he tried to suppress the raging blood inside his body, there was a solemn glow in his eyes. Their Devil Tiger Empire's martial arts were typically powerful and domineering. However, against a genuine Devil Tiger, even he felt genuinely troubled. Just as his figure flew out, Tinghu glanced at Chen Mu, who was hovering in mid-air, before he shouted out, "Brother Chen Mu, quickly make a move." In mid-air, when Chen Mu, whose entire body was enveloped by a powerful and peculiar glow, heard his words, he laughed heartily before his hand seals changed, demonic binds. After Chen Mo shouted out, a crisp noise sounded out as countless chains formed from Yuan power suddenly descended. The tips of these chains were extremely sharp. As they flashed across the horizon, they finally stabbed viciously into the majestic earth-shaking tiger's body. Furthermore, when those glowing symbols flowed along the chains and reached the majestic earth-shaking tiger's body, the bloody glow undulated on the latter's body immediately began to weaken. Bestial Empire specializes in dealing with demonic beasts like you. This time around, let's see what you can do. When he saw that the majestic earth-shaking tiger's bloody glow was rapidly weakening, Tinghu involuntarily laughed. Despicable humans. That majestic earth-shaking tiger struggled frantically as it tried to remove those chains from its body. However, these chains seemed to possess a peculiar energy, which had a suppressive effect on its body. Tinghu floated over, before he gripped his palm. Immediately, formidable Yuan power quickly transformed into a Yuan power spear. Meanwhile, a cold glint glimmered in his eyes. Growl. As if it detected the killing intent in Tinghu's eyes, that majestic earth-shaking tiger began to growl immediately. A bloody glow continuously flowed, however it was forcefully locked down by those chains. I can help you solve your current problems. However, there will be a price to pay. Are you willing? Just as the blood-red glint in that majestic earth-shaking tiger's eyes intensified, suddenly, a soft voice stealthily entered into its ears. That majestic earth-shaking tiger, which was struggling manically, froze for a second before its tiger eyes lightning-quick scanned across the entire valley. After contemplating for a moment, it decisively nodded its head. It was obvious that the current situation would not develop into an internecine like Lin Dong had hoped for. After all, the two high-rank empires were well prepared and had the means to restrain the mighty earth-splitting tiger. If this continued, the mighty earth-splitting tiger would likely be captured by them, and if Lin Dong only revealed himself at that moment, the situation would become extremely troublesome. Although he would not fear the two empires if he used every card he had, it would still be very troublesome, and he would not emerge unscathed. In comparison, if he could join forces with the mighty earth-splitting tiger to beat back the two high-rank empires, even if any special situation occurred in future, it would still be somewhat easier to deal with than facing two high-rank empires alone. Hence, when the mighty earth-splitting tiger fell into a disadvantageous situation, Lin Dong finally decided to make his move, temporarily aiding the former to contend against the two high-rank empires. Killing intent surged in Tinghu's eyes as the formidable Yuan power spear in his hand suddenly shot out. He avoided hitting the mighty earth-splitting tiger's vitals, but he would still be gravely injured if hit. As he gazed at the incoming sinister Yuan power spear, the mighty earth-splitting tiger's eyes changed. He struggled madly, but the mysterious chains firmly held him down through the combined efforts of Chen Mo and the Bestial Empire practitioners. In that instant, a red light suddenly flashed out from the mountain valley. It flashed into the area at an astonishing speed, powerful aftershocks viciously tearing apart the air as it hacked at the chain. Crack! Due to the formidable force, the Yuan power chains instantly cracked. In the end, the powerful fist of the frantically struggling mighty earth-splitting tiger viciously lashed out, destroying the chains with a single punch. This sudden turn of events caused everyone's expressions to change. Tinghu and Chen Mo's faces turned incomparably ugly as they cast their gazes towards the red figure that had appeared. With a body that looked like it was made of fire, it silently stood in the air. Faintly, an extremely powerful aura spread out from its body, causing no one to dare underestimate it. May we inquire who you are? My Devil Tiger Empire and the Bestial Empire are currently doing something here, and we hope that you will not interfere. Tinghu's expression was frosty as he stared at the red figure, his voice brimming with unconcealed rage. Their previous preparations had been ruined, hence, how could he not be angered? If it were not for his fear of the figure's formidable aura, he would have immediately moved to kill the latter. The red figure that had appeared was naturally the Blood Soul puppet. Its apathetic gaze merely glanced at Tinghu, not bothering to reply. At this moment, the mighty earth-splitting tiger once again stood up and looked at the blood-soul puppet with some astonishment. As a demonic beast, he had keen senses, and from what he could tell, the figure before them, that even he did not dare to underestimate, did not have any life force in its body at all. Brother Ting Hu, this is a soul puppet, not the original body. The master controlling the soul puppet must be close by. Chen Mo icily looked at the blood-soul puppet, and suddenly shouted in a low voice. Find that fellow. He can hide no longer. Ting Hu's eyes hardened as he sternly commanded. There's no need. However, just as Ting Hu's shout faded, a figure had already appeared. It was Lin Dong, except that he was currently wearing a bamboo hat on his head. One could tell that he was purposely hiding his face. The instant Lin Dong's figure was revealed, Ting Hu and the rest's gazes shifted over. When they felt the undulations around Lin Dong's body, they secretly sighed in relief. Fortunately, it was only a half-step to Nirvana practitioner. My friend, your actions seem to be a little inappropriate, right? As long as you stand by and do nothing, after this, I, Ting Hu, will surely invite you to be a valued guest at my Devil Tiger Empire. This is the ancient battlefield. Having more friends is not a bad thing after all. With killing intent churning in his eyes, Ting Hu laughed instead and spoke. If Lin Dong was alone, Ting Hu would not even bother speaking and instead immediately take action. However, the current situation did not allow him to do so. Although Lin Dong's half-step to Nirvana strength was beneath Ting Hu's notice, even he felt danger from the soul puppet. Hence, they did not dare to be careless. Mighty earth-splitting tiger, is what we discussed still valid? Lin Dong ignored Ting Hu. The gaze under the bamboo hat turned towards the mighty earth-splitting tiger below and asked. The red light in the mighty earth-splitting tiger's eyes swirled as he violently nodded his head. His voice was full of ferocity as he spoke. First tear these fools apart. Bastard, how dare you not to give us face? Offending both of our high-rank empires is equivalent to courting death. Upon seeing this, Chen Mo's expression instantly turned ice-cold, while Ting Hu's expression also turned extremely dark. Brother Chen Mo, I'll let you handle the soul puppet, while I stop the mighty earth-splitting tiger. As for that fellow, he's merely a half-step to Nirvana, let the others deal with him. As long as he is killed, his control over the soul puppet will naturally be lost. Humph, foolish fellow. Since he believes that he can do as he pleases with a soul puppet as his guard, if we kill him, the soul puppet will become a great treasure. Ting Hu deeply breathed in before viciously declaring. All right. In response, Chen Mu let out a sinister laugh as he stared at the blood soul puppet with eyes full of greed. This old tiger will first tear you apart today. The mighty earth-splitting tiger roared. The sole of his foot heavily stamped on the ground as he ferociously charged at Ting Hu. That bloodthirsty aura caused even Ting Hu's face to twitch a little, not daring to be the slightest bit slow as he hastily pushed the Yuan power in his body to the limit to face this foe. When the mighty earth-splitting tiger attacked, Chen Mo's figure also moved to stand in front of the blood soul puppet. He maliciously looked towards Lin Dong as he waved his hand and commanded, Ting Lin, Chen Dong, lead the men and finish off this person. Roger. 2 Nirvana practitioners swept down from the top of the mountain valley. Soon after, they appeared in a spot not far from Lin Dong wearing malicious smiles on their faces. With their strength, dealing with a mere half-step to Nirvana practitioner was too easy. Kid, better open your eyes bigger in your next life. Some people cannot be offended by the likes of yourself. Lin Dong took one look at the nastily laughing duo, and could not help but chuckle. Although these two fellows were Nirvana practitioners, they had clearly advanced recently. The undulations given off by their bodies were much weaker than the Devil Cliff Empire's Lei Shi and Chen Mu, and were at most at Li Yang's level. Lin Dong did not conceal his sneer. Thus, it was naturally seen by the duo, immediately causing the corners of their eyes to twitch. They never would have imagined that a mere half-step to Nirvana fellow would actually be so arrogant. Kill him. As one of Nirvana practitioners' icy voice rang out, the Yuan power around the duo abruptly surged. They were rather well coordinated as they simultaneously attacked Lin Dong, one from the left, the other from the right, like a pair of horns that were about to close in. Although the two were somewhat furious due to Lin Dong's arrogance, they were still quite cool-headed, were not overly rash. They worked together and attacked, displaying a force that was rather formidable. Upon seeing this, Chen Mo slightly nodded his head. With 2 Nirvana practitioners simultaneously attacking, even if that kid really had some skill, he would still find himself in a difficult situation. I'll wait till the Chen Dong duo take care of that kid and loses control over the soul puppet. At that time, I can be the first to snatch it away. This object cannot fall into the Devil Tiger Empire's hands. Chen Mo slowly withdrew his gaze, before stopping at the blood soul puppet. The greed in his eyes grew increasingly intense. While thoughts of greed were spinning about in Chen Mo's heart, two low thuds suddenly sounded out nearby. When he heard these sounds, the corners of Chen Mo's eyes raised a little. Was this fellow really so pathetic? With mocking thoughts in his head, Chen Mo once again shifted his gaze and saw two sorry figures sliding on the ground before viciously slamming into a giant boulder. Immediately, the giant boulder exploded as the two spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. Their faces were filled with astonishment. As he watched the two who had spat out blood, Chen Mo's mind froze for a moment before he abruptly raised his head, only to see the bamboo hat figure floating in the air nearby. Extremely powerful mental energy rippled around his body, instantly causing the surrounding air to show indications of boiling. Mental energy. This kid is a heaven symbol master. When he felt the powerful mental energy, Chen Mo's expression finally turned grim. They were the ones who had miscalculated this time. It's no good to be distracted now. As if he felt Chen Mo's gaze, Lin Dong softly chuckled. Soon after, a resplendent light erupted around the soul puppet's body as it ferociously attacked Chen Mo. Faced with the blood soul puppet's sudden barrage, Chen Mo slightly struggled for a time as he hastily retreated. Bang! At this time, the two Nirvana practitioners that had been blown away by Lin Dong finally stabilized their bodies. They suppressed the shock in their hearts and exchanged a look. The Yuan power in their bodies quickly gushed out as powerful martial arts was swiftly displayed at their hands. This time, they no longer dared to hold anything back and immediately pushed their power to the limit. However, in response to the duo's fully powered martial arts, Lin Dong faintly smiled. Even Lei Shi, a practitioner, who had failed the Nirvana tribulation, had been dealt with by Lin Dong, what more the two Nirvana practitioners before him who were far from being able to compare to Chen Mu. Boom boom. Formidable Yuan power finally took shape in the two Nirvana practitioners' hands. The attacks ruthlessly charged towards Lin Dong with powerful momentum. The two Nirvana practitioners maliciously stared at the figure in the air. Although this fellow was a heaven symbol master, he should still have to temporarily back off from this attack. However, what happened next caused the duo's wishful thinking to crumble completely. In the face of the duo's powerful martial arts, Lin Dong did not show any indications of dodging. He clenched his fist as a bolt of lightning descended from the sky, transforming into a black lightning palm that smashed into the martial arts. A low thump instantly sounded out in the sky as the two Nirvana practitioners' complexions immediately turned deathly white. The martial arts they were so proud of had been instantly destroyed upon contact with the black lightning palm. It was only now that they finally understood. This fellow before them, who was merely a half-stepped Nirvana practitioner, was disguising himself as a pig to devour tigers. Evidently, they had encountered a very, very hard metal board this time. That powerful martial art attack exploded completely in mid-air. However, despite being blasted by the powerful explosion, the black lightning palm still landed ruthlessly on the bodies of the appalled Chen Dong duo. A deep and low sound erupted from their bodies. Like a breakaway kite, their bodies were being knocked back. Then, they violently spat out a mouthful of blood and their breathing became ragged almost instantly. Clearly, Lin Dong's attack had injured them severely. As the practitioners from the two high-ranked empires around the valley witnessed this scene, their facial expression drastically changed while their shocked stares were locked onto Lin Dong. Previously, based on Chen Mo's astonished gasp, they already knew that the seemingly half-stepped Nirvana stage practitioner was actually a heaven symbol master. Even then, they felt that given the Chen Dong duo's Nirvana stage's capabilities, it should be an easy task for them to stall Lin Dong even if they could not defeat him. However, the current scene of them being blasted off by a single palm from him appeared to have destroyed the fantasy in their minds completely. How is this possible? At the same time, Chen Mo's face, who had been observing Lin Dong along, turned extremely grim when he saw what had happened. Indistinctly, a worried look flashed across his eyes. The current situation appeared to have spun out of their control. Chen Mo clenched his teeth. He dodged the bloody soul puppet's frenzied attack, and cast a sweeping glance at Ting Hu's side. At this moment, under the mighty earth-shaking tiger's fever defense, Ting Hu fell into a disadvantageous position, and could only use his powerful martial arts to forcefully fight back. Apparently, this situation would not last long. Not only were the demonic beasts stronger than humans, but they had far more endurance than humans as well. Once humans were engaged in a deadlocked match with them, it would not be a good news to the former. "Everyone, listen to me, let's kill this lad together," Chen Mo suddenly shouted as his eyes flickered with ghastliness. Given the current situation, they must first get rid of Lin Dong. Otherwise, he could not escape the Blood Soul Puppet's attacks. And if he could not get his hands free, Ting Hu was bound to be defeated by the mighty earth-shaking tiger. Yes. There were quite a lot of men from the two high-ranked empires in the valley. Therefore, when they heard Chen Mo's order, they replied in unison. Soon after, numerous powerful beams of Yuan power erupted and blasted towards Lin Dong with an earth-shattering force. Lin Dong hovered in the mid-air and glanced mockingly at the two high-ranked empire's incoming practitioners from under his straw hat. Then, with a flip of his palm, his devouring power swept out abruptly and formed a dark canopy that enshrouded the area. Devouring world. This time around, Lin Dong did not bring out its maximum power, and the area that the canopy enshrouded was not too big. Nonetheless, it should be enough to deal with these minor characters. Those incoming practitioners flew directly into the devouring world as they were caught unprepared. Apparently, they were far weaker than Lei Shi and his counterparts. That was because their powers were completely devoured by the devouring world in less than 10 seconds. Immediately, they fell down helplessly from the sky and landed heavily in the valley. A series of faint groans could be heard from within the valley. Who exactly is this guy? Indistinctly, Chen Mo's eyes were overwhelmed with horror when he saw his henchman being completely drained. Clearly, he could not comprehend how his previously vigorous henchman landed up in this state in less than 10 seconds. You bastard! Lin Dong's actions had attracted much attention. Therefore, even Ting Hu, who was being forced by the mighty earth-shaking tiger to a sorry state, could sense what was going on and involuntarily cursed in rage. You still dare to be distracted now? Just as Ting Hu finished his sentence, the mighty earth-shaking tiger's eyes gushed with killer intent and it hurled its tiger paw forward. An ear-piercing tiger whistle then swept across the area. Following which, a turbulent energy wave blasted towards Ting Hu ferociously. Facing such violent attack from the mighty earth-shaking tiger, Ting Hu's facial expression changed drastically. Suddenly, his body began to tremble and then inflated abruptly. In the twinkling of an eye, he transformed into a tiger-like beast that was roughly the same size as the mighty earth-shaking tiger. The martial art that this fellow practiced was somewhat similar to the devil-ape transformation that Lin Dong practiced in the past. Bang! As the two gigantic tigers collided fiercely, all the huge rocks within 100 feet were crushed to powder by the powerful energy erupted from the collision. Numerous thick and solid cracks extended throughout the ground like a spider web. Ting Hu's body ricocheted backwards. Both his feet were half a meter deep in the ground, leaving a deep mark in the ground of the valley. Even though he practiced this kind of unique body transformation martial art, his powers were still lacking compared to the mighty earth-shaking tigers. How dare you dream about snatching the heavenly demonic tiger's bone with that lousy martial of yours? You're obviously courting death. Apparently, the mighty earth-shaking tiger was extremely angry with the fact that it was being subdued by these people previously. As such, its attacks were extremely ruthless, and it did not even give Ting Hu any chances to take a breather. Taking a step forward, its gigantic body surged with a dense smell of blood once again. Then, it pounced on Ting Hu, whose chi and blood was churning inside of his body. When Ting Hu saw the mighty earth-shaking tiger pounced over once again, a grim look appeared on his face. However, since there was no way he could dodge the attack, he could only directly face it. While Ting Hu was being forced into a rather perilous state by the mighty earth-shaking tiger, on the other side, Chen Mo was not in any better shape as well. Currently, the Blood Soul Puppet's powers were comparable to a 1 Yuan Nirvana stage practitioner's powers. Therefore, even when Chen Mo went all out on his attacks, he could only fight evenly against the Blood Soul Puppet, and he was not able to gain the upper hand. Furthermore, Lin Dong, who had completely wiped out the men from the two high-ranked empires, was carrying out sneak attacks now. In this case, Chen Mo, who was not able to gain any upper hands in the first place, was now in a dire straits. In addition, Lin Dong's sneak attacks were extremely cunning. Not only did he not need to face his opponent directly, he managed to use his powerful mental energy to carry out unpredictable attacks that caused Chen Mo to be extremely vexed. In a moment of rage, the Blood Soul Puppet caught a mistake and ruthlessly landed a punch on his body. Humph! Even though Chen Mo had passed through the Nirvana tribulation once, the blood soul puppet's punch that landed on him was no trifling matter. Thus, instantly, Chen Mo's face turned pale white, and he let out a groan. After a single attack, Lin Dong was able to completely dominate his enemy. Following which, with a jolt of his mind, the bloody soul puppet's attacks suddenly became violent and intense. In fact, Chen Mo was denied of the chance to even readjust the qi and blood in his body. Damned lad. After being harassed constantly, Chen Mo flew into a rage. However, he secretly began to conceive the thought of retreating. Given the current situation, it was clear that they would not be able to successfully obtain the heavenly demonic tiger's bone. In fact, they might even end up worse off. While his eyes glimmered, Chen Mo finally clenched his teeth and let out a sharp whistle from his mouth. The sharp whistle echoed throughout the valley, letting everyone heard it loud and clear. When those extremely weak practitioners from the two high-ranked empires heard the whistle, they hastily struggled to stand up. Then, after taking a look at each other, they fled the valley like a flash flood. It seemed that Chen Mo's whistle was a signal of retreat. Bang! Once again, Ting Hu was viciously knocked back by the mighty earth-shaking tiger, while he vomited out a mouthful of blood. After glancing at his fleeing men with an ashen expression, Ting Hu finally let out a resentful grunt, and threw a spiteful gaze at Lin Dong. Kid, you had better watch out. Don't let me find out who you are, otherwise I will tear you into pieces. Ting Hu bellowed. Initially, today's plan was a surefire, however, the sudden appearance of Lin Dong had destroyed everything. How could this not enrage him? After finishing his sentence, Ting Hu did not stay any longer. Today's mission had been a failure. If he carried on fighting, he would probably suffer more than a minor injury. Immediately, with a jolt of his body, he transformed into a red streak and fled the place. After a while, he disappeared from the valley. After the men from the two high-ranked empires retreated hastily, the turmoiled valley gradually quietened down. Only the crushed rocks and huge cracks on the ground could prove that there was epic battle in this place previously. Lin Dong looked at the retreating empires with a serene face and smiled indifferently. As for Ting Hu's threat, he merely ignored it. This is the so-called fearless. He offended a lot of people, but he did not care about them at all. Lin Dong waved his hand lightly and the blood soul puppet stood behind him silently. The dangerous aura that it was emitting previously had been withdrawn. At this moment, the mighty earth-shaking tiger was panting heavily. Apparently, the previous epic battle was not an easy one. Then, it raised its head and looked at Lin Dong. There was a red glint flickering in its tiger eyes, and there seemed to be a brutal aura pervading the air. Under his straw hat, Lin Dong's eyes silently met with the mighty earth-shaking tiger's eyes. He was not threatened by the despotic look in the tiger's eyes at all. Therefore, after a while, Lin Dong plainly smiled. Now, shall we talk about the price you are willing to pay? The mighty earth-shaking tiger narrowed its eyes and looked at the bloody soul puppet behind Lin Dong. Then, it said, I'm not like those ungrateful humans. Tell me, what is the price to pay? However, as the tiger was speaking these words, its eyes were somewhat flickering. Lin Dong stretched his body as if nothing had happened. Then, he pointed his finger towards the cave and laughed insipidly. Awesome, give me the heavenly demonic tiger's bone and we can call it even. Part 1 end here.